Well, howdy, folks. Today we are going to talk about this road trip, finally. And we're probably going to make this a two-parter because it's going to be a long, really long video if I do it all at one time. So join us on the adventure here talking about the adventure. Ciao, y'all. Well, folks, as promised, I'm going to do a little recap video of the epic road trip we went on. And a recap of season 7 and kind of get into if there'll be a season 8, what we're doing, all that kind of good stuff. So, Mrs. Chef sitting across from me said she did not want to be on film. So, say hello, Mrs. Chef.
Hi.
So we'll go recap of season 7. So season 7 started in Galveston, Texas, and met up with Lamont at Large down there, and we had a beach house, cruised the beach. It was awesome, and we kind of made season 7 just all about travel. So season 7 went for almost right at 11 months. It was a long season, a lot of travel. I'm trying to remember all the places we went there in season 7. God, there's no telling, just all over the place. But anyway, we wanted to wrap up season 7, wrapped up season 3 in Hot Springs, Arkansas. So we decided to do the same thing. We'd wrap up season 7 in Hot Springs. Hot Springs is one of my favorite towns to go visit. And if you're in North Texas or northern Louisiana, it's about 3 or 4 hours, and you're there. So it's not a long trip. It's a fun place. What do you think about Hot Springs, Mrs.
I
Shelley?
love Hot Springs.
Yeah, it's just
But I really like the lake area.
the lake area. The thing about Hot Springs is it has so much variety of things. You can take a trip there one time and do camping in the mountains, or you can go spend your entire time at the lake, or you can go spend your entire time downtown. There's like a lot of cool little sections to Hot Springs, so each trip can be completely different. So this last trip that we ended on, season 7, was we just had a granddaughter. So originally we had planned to go to Wisconsin. That was the original plan, but we had a granddaughter, and of course, Mrs. Chef and I wanted to go see our granddaughter again because we were there when she was born, and we wanted to go back and see her. So we decided we would do a different trip. Now, our plan was to get to Alexandria, Louisiana, and then from there we didn't have a plan. And we do a lot of trips like that where we don't have a absolute destination, just a general idea of let's go this way and end up. Now, sometimes that works against you. It can work for you or against you. So it's cool to have reservations because you're guaranteed a room or whatever. But it also is a hindrance because it means you have to get to that destination by this day and this time. So we don't like that. We're more like no reservations, no rules type people. So we got there, and then it was kind of a crapshoot. And I put out a community blog there about where should we go, because we didn't know. We might go south, might go north, might go east. We just really didn't have a clue. So you go through that process, Mrs. Chef, like what we were thinking at that point, like where to go.
Well, we thought about going to the beach, but it's so hot, and we've
Yeah.
been working so much on the farm. We've been just kind of wanted to go somewhere cooler.
Yeah, so we pretty much picked mountains. We were like,
So-
all right, we're going to mountains.
We decided to go to North Carolina.
Yeah, so we did a really cool video we did a really cool video about the haunted hotel there in Alexandria, which was super cool. Really liked that place. First time I'd ever been there, stayed there. Enjoyed that. And then we decided that next day to head east. We were kind of make a northeast, and we didn't know where we'd end up exactly. At that point, we still didn't really know. We talked about Pigeon Forge, I think is what we talked about that night. Let's go towards Pigeon Forge. So we end up so I'll backtrack just a little bit. So at that point that night, we were debating on Florida or North Carolina, right? That's kind of our two options we decided on.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about if we went to North Carolina, maybe we going up into Kentucky because Mrs. Chef's never been to Kentucky, so that was an option. We knew it was gonna be a long trip, so we even talked about even going up to New England, but we kind of voted that down pretty quick just because it's so far. And I'm glad we didn't, and I'll tell you that part later on because our vehicles are getting a little older, and I'll tell you what happened along the way. So we end up going east that next day, and we end up going through Natchez, which is a beautiful town. Like as far as architecturally, it's right on the river. It's high up on the hillside there, on the high side of the Mississippi. And we went to a little casino there, and it sucked. I don't remember the name of it, but I think we spent like $50 each or something like that.
We didn't win $1 million, that's for sure.
No, it was just you couldn't win anything, and I was like, this ain't my scene. So we left there pretty quick. Drove around, did the tour and all, and ended up let's go to Jackson tonight. So we ended up in Jackson, spent the night in Jackson, and then kind of debated on what to do. So we got to Jackson, and we decided that I haven't been to Chattanooga in a long time. Last several times we went to Tennessee, we went to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge and all that. But we always come in from that north side through Knoxville and all down the 40 and on down. So we kind of decided, hey, let's head that way. And about halfway, So I'm sorry. So we headed that way. So we ended up, we wanted to go to Birmingham again because we went through there several years ago, Vulcan Park and all, and enjoyed that. What was your favorite part about Birmingham and all?
I love Vulcan Park.
Yeah, it is. It's just a beautiful
so
overlooking the city and all.
I don't know. That town is so cool because it kind of it's got not big mountains, but it's
the first part you really get into some pretty good size.
You start getting in and you drive in,
hills
and there's hills and all this, and there's businesses and houses up around the outskirts of the city, up in the hills. So it's just really pretty when you drive into it. And then Vulcan Park is just beautiful, and it's a pretty neat town. Oh,
and to backtrack a little bit, so coming out of Natchez. I want to talk a little bit about Natchez. I want to touch on this, and I forgot. The cool thing about Natchez, there's a ghost in here. The cool thing about Natchez is it's kind of it hits on all different architectures. It hits on Spanish. It hits on your colonial style. It's on like an antebellum style. It has all these elements of architecture all combined into one. So that's very cool about Natchez. And the time of day we were there was just an hour or two before dark, and just the way the sun hit the buildings and all, it was just a really cool town. And it kind of reminds me of like a Savannah, Georgia, kind of meeting New Orleans. Maybe kind of meeting like we caught up in there in Virginia, Williamsburg. It's got all the elements. It's just a really cool, unique. I don't think I've ever been to a city that has all those elements combined into one like that. So it was a cool place to visit. So we get back. We're going into Birmingham. We leave Jackson. We head over to Birmingham and all. So one of the interesting things about Birmingham, and one of the draws there, was it was an old baseball town. And one thing that a lot of people don't know is that back in those days, the ball players, you had your major leagues, you had your Negro leagues, minor leagues and all, but you had a lot of the steel mills had their own leagues. There's a way for your guys that work in those mills to have an exercise, something to do, and be proud of representing the mill they work for. And Birmingham has quite a unique place because it has everything you need to make iron or steel right there within a 10-mile radius. So I think it's the only place on earth like that. So it's interesting. I love the Vulcan Park and all. And at that point, so when we decided, let's head on to Chattanooga. That's kind of our game plan. So now going through Birmingham, I decided I want to go check out this ballpark. And I looked it up as the oldest ballpark in the world. And it's still in operation. And there was a game going on when we drove by there. And I was like, damn, I'd love to go to a game if we had time. Because it was right at game time. It was about 7 o'clock at night. The thing was that ballpark's so old, it's deep in the hood. And we passed some places that reminded me of going to Baltimore. And I told Mrs. Chef, I said, man, these hoods look just like Baltimore. It is rough looking places I've been to in Baltimore. So we leave Birmingham, and I said, I'm just curious. This looks so much like Baltimore. What's the top 10 the roughest places in the United States? Roughest cities as far as what do we look up? We looked up like murder rate.
The top 100 states. Murders per 100,000 people.
The top murders per 100,000, and the top. Then we looked at violent crimes, right? It was the two we looked at. So we're driving along, and sure enough, it was Baltimore and Birmingham was like 2 and 3, right? Something like that. They were real close. It's in that video. I don't remember exactly, but they were like number 2 and number 3 or something. And I was like, see, when you go through a place and you've been to places like that real rough, you just get that sense of, man, this place is not a place you want to mess around with. A lot of gang activity, things like that. So, as far as the city itself, it's beautiful, but don't get caught off in the wrong area at the wrong time, doing the wrong thing. Basically, is what I'm saying. Places like that. So at this point, we get to Chattanooga. It's pretty late at night. Found a room, checked in, and it's pretty much it's a place I haven't been to in a long time. Went there 2-3 times, like in my teens and stuff like that. But I haven't been there in a long time. And I forgot how cool of a city it was. How big of a city it was. It's a lot larger city than you'd think. And just a lot of really cool brick buildings and like sub-neighborhoods to the main city. That was one of the cool aspects of Chattanooga. So we decided we were going to spend a couple days there. And not just bounce day. We were bouncing from city to city to city every day. And it was getting kind of, at that point, it's like, man, we've been bouncing around. Let's spend a couple days here. So we did that. We did the Ruby Falls thing, which was super awesome. That was a super cool video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And then the main video I did for Chattanooga, it didn't get that many views, and it was a super cool video. It shows the old train depot area.
The Chattanooga Choo Choo.
Chattanooga Choo Choo. That was a cool,
really neat,
really cool area. And we're gonna talk a little bit about Chattanooga, the things you liked.
It had a lot of cool parks.
Yeah, it did have a lot of parks.
And it had just tons and tons of, everything was kind of close together where you could just walk to it, but it was really like a big city.
Yeah. We did do a lot of walking, which I don't think, the film is so cut down. I did a lot of filming on this trip that just didn't make the scenes, because you try to condense a video down to, I usually try to keep them around 15 minutes at the max. Well, I think that video was around 25, 26 minutes, so it was getting way too long.
It had the river, had a river through it.
Yeah, Tennessee River runs right through there.
Tennessee River right through it, and it was really pretty, and people would just be out there paddleboarding and rowing, and it was really
a lot of nature for a major city.
There's a college campus there too, so there's a big little area that's real,
a lot of outdoorsy stuff. I almost felt like you're in like a Colorado city or something. It had a lot of outdoor activity.
They have a big outdoor pavilion park, and they had a carousel and a splash pad, and just a lot of family stuff to do.
Yeah, it's a good family town. There's a lot of bars and all that kind of stuff. So if you're like single or younger and you want to go check out that scene, there's towards the college. Yeah, you had tons of that stuff.
Stuff for the young crowd.
A lot of restaurants and bars, though, a lot. And what we tried to do is we tried to pick out a couple of unique places. So we went up on top of the mountain for one of our meals, which is in that video. What was the name of that place up on top of the mountain? It was really, really good. The place we ate up
it was called the
Corner something.
Corner Cafe?
Maybe, something like that. But it was really, really
delicious.
Good. It was the best service I've had in over a year.
Cafe on the Corner.
Cafe on the Corner, yeah. That place was
very good.
The flavors, the chef knew what he was doing there because everything had a purpose and a point, and
everything was fresh.
It was fresh, and he had lemon. You had the lemon zest to really make things pop, like in the aiolis and all. I mean, it was really, really good.
Of care and passion into his food.
Yeah, you could tell that it was that chef really cared about what he's doing,
and he was busy.
They were busy, yeah. You could tell the service is good. The owner of that place had it figured out, you know. We went to that barbecue place, which was we got there really close to dinner time that day. I mean, really close to closing time, which was early. It was like that place closed at like 6 o'clock or something. Closed really early for a restaurant. Yeah. And the only thing they had left on the menu for smoke was smoked chicken, I believe, right? They were out of everything else we'd ask about, so we didn't have smoked chicken.
Any more brisket.
Yeah, no brisket, and I wanted a big like brisket stuffed potato because that was on the menu, and they didn't have that. They were out of the potatoes, they were out of that stuff. But it was good. It was for smoked chicken. It wasn't the best smoked chicken I ever had, but it was decent, and the mac and cheese was really good, and they actually had extra macaroni and cheese, so they brought some extra macaroni to us.
Spicy barbecue sauce was spicy.
Yeah, spicy barbecue was really good. It was really good.
I had to go ask for some regular, and I like spicy.
Miss Chef couldn't hang.
But I like a lot of barbecue sauce, so
yeah. So
I needed to get something milder.
That was a cool meal, and that was not too. I try to find those places that are not touristy. When we show you all food places. I try to show you places that a local would eat at. Touristy places tend to be very expensive. Service is usually not that good because they're busy, because it's on a main drag or whatever. And I just tend to not like those kind of meals as much as I do seeking out a local place. So that place was way off the beaten path of where a tourist would go. And we were definitely the only people that wasn't local in there, I'd imagine, because everybody seemed like they knew each other and that kind of stuff. But my favorite part about that whole town, I think, was the day we went to the Chattanooga Choo Choo. We did a lot of walking, and there's just like little cool sub neighborhoods within the city, and we stopped at that it was the old rail car that had been turned into a bar or a brewery. That was cool. And the main building, the main, I guess it would be like the station house from when the trains used to actually all run from there. Just amazing architecture. And the inside was awesome. The bathroom was really cool. If there's a cool bathroom and there's nobody in the bathroom, I will show you all the bathrooms in my videos, because I think the bathrooms kind of always have a character to them of their own. And I've been in some really cool places that have just like these really super awesome bathrooms. So I usually show you off. Nobody's in the bathroom, where I can't be showing people going to the bathroom and all. But try to show you what's going on in the bathrooms, because that was a cool one. Had really old urinals and stalls and everything, like looked like from the 20s or earlier. So when plumbing first came into be, So kind of that Art Deco look to it. So from that point, spent a couple of nights there, and we decided we were going to head towards Pigeon Forge in Gatlinburg. So we got to that town. What was the name of that town?
Robbinsville.
No. This is on the way. We remember we pulled off the road and it was raining. And that's when we changed our mind. We decided to go to Cherokee instead and just skip Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg.
Something that started with an L, but I don't remember.
It's on the video. I can't
remember.
remember.
It's a cute town.
Yeah, so we pull off into that town, and that's where we decided let's skip Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg and go to North Carolina and explore some places we hadn't seen. So we pull off the beaten path, go over to head down, and we get to this junction in the road where it says extremely dangerous road ahead, all this kind of stuff. What was
Tail
all
of
that?
the Dragon.
Yeah, we ended up on the Tail of the Dragon.
338 curves in 11 miles.
318.
318.
Yeah. So we have no idea what we're getting into. We just see all these signs, and there's a big sign that says warning, keep out, right before you get on the road, that somebody had hand painted, and I was like, that's crazy. So we don't know what we're getting into. There's a dude sitting there jamming out at a junction, you know, and we're like, it's pretty cool, man. Why is this dude just out here jamming out in the middle of nowhere, you know? So little do we know, we were on one of the craziest roads we've ever been on in our life, and filmed so little of it. I give the camera to Mrs. Chef. She filmed little pieces of it, but I was kind of white knuckling it through because it's just boom, 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 just back and forth. And that part don't bother me because I'm not worried about me wrecking. I was worried about these bikers were coming around the corner doing like 100 miles an hour. I don't know how. They were just almost laying down the ground coming around these curves. Well, they'd be over in your lane. So when you're going around a curve, you got to watch for the oncoming traffic hitting you head on. And the last thing I want is a dude going through my front windshield, you know, off a bike. So it's kind of you really got to pay attention to what's going on and making sure that nobody's hitting you. And then, of course, the same thing from behind you. You know, I'm doing like 40 miles an hour, I think was the maximum speed limit you're supposed to drive. I'm getting past that, you know, 45 to 50, and these bikes are coming up behind me and just on blind curves, just taking them. And that's the part I'm worried about coming from the other direction. Is there going to be some biker on a blind curve head on at me, you know? So we go through that, and that was super cool. We end up in Robbinsville, North Carolina. When we passed over the border, it was Robbinsville, North Carolina. So thanks for joining us on this recap. This will be part one of the recap of the road, and we will complete this with part two and pick up in Robbinsville, North Carolina.